Welcome to the Expat Woman Show. Have you ever wondered about living or working in Dubai? I'm very excited today to have Navine join us all the way from Dubai. She's the founder of Coffee with the Expat, and she was also speaker at the recent Expat Woman Summit. And she'd be talking about starting a business in Dubai, expat life, and everything else that goes with being an expat. My name is Nyna Caputi. I'm the founder and CEO of the Expat Woman, and I'm also the host of the Expat Woman Show. We go live every Tuesday at 9 a.m. PST with expat leaders, influencers, and service providers. So without further ado, welcome Navine to the Expat Woman Show, and would love to hear from you about your expat journey. I know you're a serial expat, and what you do and what brought you to Dubai.
Thank you, Nyna, for having me. First and foremost, it's an honor and a pleasure to be on here with you after being on the summit and just seeing how amazing you are and the platform that you have created for so many people to connect and learn and grow and enrich themselves is truly inspiring. So thank you for having me today. Yeah, like you said, I'm a retired serial expat, I would say.
Oh,
For
what?
now,
Sorry, what did you call?
a retired serial expat.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, like, never say never, right? As expats, so we never say never. We're currently in Dubai now. We've been here for 8 years, and the reason why I say I'm retired is because I got so used to moving every two years, and then we came here and we just settled unexpectedly. I didn't think that we would, but it's been 8 years, and I don't know how much longer that will last for, but who knows what the future holds, right? But for now, we're kind of retired, I would say. Dubai is my 8th country. I was born and raised in Australia to immigrant parents, Egyptian parents. Went to Egypt on holiday, ended up getting married, and never went back to Australia. So so I've been moving around with my husband. Then we had 4 children along the way, each child born in a different country. So that's been a bit adventurous, both during birth, because each birthing experience was very different, plus all the paperwork that's involved in every single move from the different countries is just astonishing sometimes. But but here we are in Dubai, and I started and established Coffee with Expat when we moved here and I settled down.
Very good. So the countries you said you're from Egypt. I've visited Egypt once, and I just fell in love with Egypt and the Egyptian people. They were the friendliest folks I think I've met besides Sri Lankans. And I was so impressed with Egypt that I wanted to study in Egypt. I was at that time looking to do my master's, and my mom and I even visited the university in Cairo, because I was like, I want to live in this country. I love the people, I love the culture, I love the food. And then Australia, I visited for the first time last month for a cousin's wedding, and I fell in love.
I saw those posts.
Yeah, and so
That was an adventure.
it was. And then Dubai, I visited 2 times, and I wanted to work in Dubai. So, 3 of the countries that have kind of played a role in your life have had a lot of meaning to me. And so I'm excited to chat with you. But of course, today we won't be talking about Egypt and Australia. Maybe we'll have to do another one for that. We'll be talking about Dubai. So tell me about, because you've lived in so many countries. So when you moved to Dubai, what were the things you liked about Dubai, and what were some hurdles or challenges you faced?
Oh my gosh, what is there not to like about Dubai? I mean, like, again, it's one of those places. It's either some people come here and they love it, and some people come here and they just don't enjoy it, right? But they definitely know how to make your life easy for the most part. We are very spoilt here, I would say. I'd just say the standard of living and the facilities and the services here was something I never experienced in any other country before. And within the first few days of me moving here, I experienced a service that I just didn't know existed, which was basically that somebody told me, oh, just order your supermarket online. So I ordered online through an app, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I have to leave because I have an appointment. So I left cash with my kids, and my kids are older, so I could leave them alone. Like, they're at the time, finishing high school. And then as we were leaving, the delivery guy car was coming, and I waved at him. I said, "Are you coming to my address?" He's like, "Yes, madam." He comes out. This is at the end of my road, by the way. He comes out, he gives me the card machine, and I just paid on the spot, and he went on and he delivered my groceries. And I was just like, going, okay, that's interesting. I can just pay in the middle of the street, no problem. You know, but I think like any country, every country definitely has its challenges, and and I think it's really the mindset that you go with, whether you can make it or break it for yourself. And I always go with a positive mindset, and make the most of the country that I'm in. And yeah, and I think no country is perfect.
Right. No, that's
In
great.
that
And I
sense,
guess
yeah.
being a serial expat, you've learned to see the goodness and the beauty and the opportunities and, as you say, the advantages of each country, right? I think that it's all about the mindset. I couldn't agree more, because you could choose to be unhappy in the most beautiful place if you want to. I mean, I know some expats who pine for their home country, and the country they live in will never compare to the country they're originally from. But as you say, every country has their positives and, their pros and cons, and you just have to go with the flow. But I know life in Dubai is, pretty, I don't know, but I wouldn't say easy, but as you say, that has its advantages. I think you also can get help fairly, right? Like in India, you can get people to help with cleaning and cooking and uh yeah, and so and it's yeah, and living in Dubai, I know my brother lived in Dubai, and then he lived in Sharjah, which is another emirate in the United
Mhm.
Arab Emirates. And I saw the difference between Dubai and Sharjah too, because I think even within the United Arab Emirates, each emirate has a different way of life. But today, of course, we're focusing on Dubai, which many people, surprisingly, outside of the United Arab Emirates don't realize that Dubai is one of the Emirates, right? Like it's, and I'm hoping also with this interview for people to get us understand more about Dubai, because all they think about Dubai is like you can ski there because they bring in ice from other countries, and and all, as you say, there are these preconceived notions because it's in the Middle
Yeah.
East. So hoping to
Yeah.
dispel some of those. So let's talk about the business. So what inspired you to start Coffee with the Expat? Did you start it in Dubai, or did you start it before you moved to Dubai? And then wha- how did you go about starting it? Did you have any resources, support? Because it's not easy starting a business, whether you're local or you're an expat. So you were an expat, you were new to the country. So yeah, just give us a little background about Coffee with the Expat, and then what it does, and then how you started it.
Absolutely. Actually, it's not so difficult to open a business here. You just need to have the finances to do so. So that's where the challenge is. But in terms of opening the business, like you would anyway, there's obviously the paperwork involved and things like that. I think the most challenging part would be opening the business bank account. That is probably the time consuming and probably the most challenging part about opening a business here. But they are constantly evolving and enhancing the services for opening businesses here. So they do try to make it as easy and as accessible as possible for anybody really to start a business. If you have, like I said, you had the finances to do so, you go to the right authority, or you decide to do a freelance, like a freelance license, for example, is an option that they have now that they did not have when I started my business. But to have a freelance license here, for example, you need to have your own residency visa already in place. So you could be on your husband's visa, for example, sponsored by your husband, and then you get like an NOC, like a letter giving permission, I would say, that your spouse can work, and then you can go ahead and do that. But having said that, so I know a lot of people might be listening to this and thinking, oh, she has to get permission from her husband. It works both ways. So I could sponsor my husband, and then I would need to give him the NOC to be able to go work. So it's just really a matter of who has the sponsorship, because they are the ones that are working in the company and they provide the visa for them, right? So there's no, I mean, like, I won't say there's no, you can be a woman here in the UAE and sponsor your entire family, which is the case for me at the moment. Or you can be the male figure and sponsor the whole family. And it's accepted. It's no issue there. So when I came to start my own business here in the UAE, obviously, like I was saying, it's very fast paced. Things are constantly changing. The laws are changing. The rules are changing. The different services available to you change. So it's very hard to keep up with what's available to you now, what is no longer available. And so you do have a lot of amazing companies here that you can work with that are always updated, and they can make sure that you're legally doing the right things, you have the right licenses in place, and advise you which license to get, because there are hundreds of licenses to choose from, right, depending on the field of work that you want to do. So when I came here, I had to figure that out a bit, and I decided from the get-go when I started Coffee with an Expat, even though it was just a passion project, I said I am still providing a service. I'm not making any money. It was a passion, like I said to you. But when you don't know, for me anyway, if I don't know something, I'd rather just take the safe route and get myself covered just in case anything comes up. And so that's what we did. We got an LLC, which was a joint like company that I have with my husband, because you can have multiple activities underneath that. And that's how we started it, pretty much. And then over time, obviously, as Coffee with an Expat expanded and evolved, now we have the membership in place, and website and social media marketing and all these kind of things. That means I needed to get other licenses to cover those activities, because each license that you get has certain activities that operate underneath it. And you just need to make sure that every license, or you need multiple licenses to be able to cover all the activities that your business does.
Interesting. So first of all, thanks for
Yeah.
dispelling another myth that people have, that the wife needs a permission from the husband to, to start a business, because it depends on, as you said, who's working in the country. Because I know plenty of expats where the woman moves to the country for a job and her husband follows her, including my cousin. She worked for the UN in Egypt, and her husband had joined her on her work visa. So, it's just yeah. But in terms of, what about if someone's single? What about if someone is like, there are a lot of solo expat women who might be interested in moving to Dubai and maybe starting a business. So I guess that might be, and I know you are not the expert on business visa, so I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll answer it to the best of my knowledge. But just like, this is the disclaimer coming from Nyna that I'm not an expert in licenses,
And it's
people.
not, it's not, yeah, I just don't, yeah, I don't want you to feel like, oh my gosh, and people are going to like later sue me for giving the wrong advice.
No, not at all.
But
Look,
you still
I'll
know a
share what
lot. Yeah.
I know, but just taking into account that things are constantly changing in the UAE, and usually it's constantly changing for the better, right? They're looking at where are the issues, what can we do to make it easier for people to start a business, and they tend to go in that direction, which is what I love about the UAE, is that they are constantly innovating and providing different opportunities for anybody to really have the best life if they can, if they choose to, or if they can. So there are a lot of women here that are solo, working either with the company, so they were brought here with the company, and some have started their own businesses. So with the license, and again, depending on the type of license that you get, so if it's like an LLC, then you can get a residency visa with that. So in my case, for example, even though I'm sponsoring the family at the moment, is not connected to work by any means. So my husband is still the what's the word? What do you say? Breadwinner, is that what you
Right.
say? I don't
Yeah,
know. There's a term for
right.
that. So he's working, but he's based in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. That's where the head office is. So we got like an investor visa, for example, and that's where we got our residency through that. And I'm sponsoring the family, or the kids at least, through that visa, which is amazing, because that means that I can still live in the country and I don't necessarily have to work. I have the right to stay here based on that visa, right? But then if you're going to start a business, then you need to be licensed. Anything that's generating an income, basically, you need to be licensed here in the
So how did
UAE.
I mean, it's amazing you know so much, Naveen, and you've not been in Dubai that long, and you've figured out so much of it. But how did you figure out? Did you do any workshops? Did you go to a lawyer? Did you go to any expat business advisors? Like, how did you, or did you just go, just figure it out on your own?
So no, there are a lot of companies here that you go to specifically for licenses. You can either go and do your own license by yourself and just figure everything out, or you can go to these companies that have updated information and are constantly, this is their job, right? They're constantly being updated with the new laws. This license is no longer available. This is a new license available to you, et cetera, et cetera. You need to have all of these licenses to cover your activity, for example. And sometimes it's not so straightforward because sometimes you're in an industry or you're providing a service that does not have one particular license, but it's hidden inside another license, if that makes sense, right? So, and that's what I did. I mean, like initially we started off with an LLC with just a very generic activities inside it that covered the majority, well, it's covering what I was doing at the time. But like I said, as I evolved and I started doing more like events and gatherings and outings and having an online portal and all these kind of things, I couldn't find a license that would cover all of those things. So then I went to a consultancy that specializes in licenses. And I chose one that had that was run by Expat Women because I felt like they're the only ones that will understand what I'm doing and kind of like get the concept of what I'm doing. And they looked into it and they did like an analysis of all the activities that I do, all the things I'm doing, and they came back and told me, okay, these are the licenses that fit your line of work, and these are the ones that we recommend that you do. So for me, it was a no-brainer. It just saved me so much time making any mistakes and getting the wrong licenses, because you can easily do that if you do it on your own. So when you don't know something, I always recommend going to the expert.
Yeah, no, that's really smart of you, because you're right. Because if you do something wrong, it can really jeopardize your business. And I like that you had the vision. You know, it was a passion project, but you knew you were going to, at some point, turn it into a business or be profitable. And so you, right from the start, you planned to have it covered by, licenses, and then you got these different licenses. So more power to you for that, because sometimes people don't have that vision. You start something and then you're scrambling later. uh, I think the difference between maybe an LLC in the US and Dubai might be like here, if you want to get an LLC, it covers all the, at least like with the expat one, because I know we do similar stuff, we do events, we have a membership, it covers everything that I do. So I think it's important for people watching this, if you're looking to start a business, whether in Dubai or any other countries, really find out about the laws.
Absolutely.
I had another Expat Woman Summit speaker, Charlotte, on the Expat Woman show, and she was talking about how before moving to Panama, she figured out the laws and how to start a business there and how important it is for expat consultancy business for expats. Yeah, I said the microphone. Suddenly said something, but my microphone what would you mind sharing the name of that uh, business that helped you set up your?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to Bismosis.
Pardon?
So Bismosis.
Okay, because I think
Yeah.
yeah, and I think again that was very smart of you, because you could, if you when you they have to understand your business, right? If you're
Yes.
working with expats, they have to understand that. If you're an expat, they have to understand that. So I think again, being very focused and strategic, and maybe I'm sure it took you time, right, to find that business. And the reason I asked you the name, maybe there are other expats who are looking to start a business in Dubai. And you can sometimes be misled by someone who doesn't really understand what you want to do, and then that can be a big mess as well. So let's talk about, in terms of your business, coffee with an expat. What inspired you to start this business? You said you started it as a passion project, and and then now I know you are very successful. I think you were recently recognized by the, I know something to do with
Yep.
something. So yeah, talk us through this, and also what do you think has been responsible for your success? I know you have a great mindset, but it's not easy starting a business from scratch, especially when it's a passion project and then turning it into something, I'm assuming, that is profitable or maybe breaking even, but monetizing it, especially when you're in a new country.
Yeah, I mean, like you're also building a community, Nyna, and you know how challenging and it can be at times, and it's a responsibility at the same time on our shoulders. because again, you are bringing people into your sphere, in your scope, into your platform, and I take that very seriously. And I think, for me, just to take a step back, because my thoughts can go everywhere with this. Take a step back. The reason why I started Coffee with an Expat, and I think it comes down to finding my purpose. I realized through my experience helping refugees when I was living in Switzerland that my purpose in life is to service others. This is where I'm happiest. This is where I thrive, and this is where I feel that I can make a difference to communities or to society. But having said that, when I moved to the UAE, Coffee with an Expat was non-existent. It was an Instagram account where I was sharing my expat life and my travels. That's what it was, basically, right? But at the same time, I always felt there was more to it. I felt something was going to happen. I just had no idea what that would be. And then I decided, when I moved to the UAE and I saw how a lot of people were struggling here to make friends and build those connections and have the genuine friendships and have access to certain resources to do with like mental health, for example, because it was expensive to be able to maybe go and seek a counselor. So one of the ideas I had was to create like a vlog, where I'll interview professionals and then share it on my platform, on my Instagram, and that way people can access that. I tried it. I gave it a go. It was not really my thing at the time. I realized it was not the way I could do this. And then the opportunity came to do the same thing, but in person. And so I reluctantly at first said, I went for it, because like I'm not somebody that was confident in talking in front of groups of people at all. I had never done anything like this in my life, like invite people and bring in a speaker and what is this, right? But luckily for me, and I'm hopefully luckily for the ladies as well, it went really well. And that was just me giving back to the community. I just said, I just want to do this to give back to the community, provide a space for women to be able to connect and just be not judged, like just be expat women like me and you having a conversation, speaking to an expert and just having this energy between us. So did one, did two, did three. It was like the topics are quite heavy and quite kind of like emotional at times. And we thought, maybe let's lighten things up and have a coffee morning. And so it just really, it's just like you do these things and then ideas come and you try it. It works. I cannot tell you how many times I had to cancel events that I had organized, and that was hard. It's kind of like, oh, nobody signed up. And then you feel like, am I doing the right thing? Do they like my network? Is it me? So you do have the self-doubt as well. And I think any entrepreneur in whatever industry that they're going in, you do have those moments of doubt. But I believe when you're passionate about something, this is what is the drive to keep you going, right? So I had a passion, like I had and I still do, a very deep-rooted passion about what I do, and really believing in the difference that you can make to even a single person's life.
Beautiful.
And that's just always been my drive. It's just like, I can make a difference to one person's life. Why wouldn't I want to do that? And that's really where it came from. It's just stemmed from it. It just evolved. And again, being the creative mind that I have, I just kept on coming up with ideas. Let's try this, try that. But where does the success come from? Yes, I would say that I definitely played a role in that, but that success when it comes to community would never happen without the people that are part of it. The people that support you along the way, the volunteers that dedicate their time to help build a community, the members that join your community and believe in what you're doing. I think that all comes together and is why you become, or the community becomes successful, rather than me myself. So yeah, I mean, like I do get some recognition. Like you said, I've been nominated for the Australian Community Award, and I've made it to the finalists. So I'm in the top 3 finalists, and the winner gets announced at the ball on Saturday. So, but either way, I feel like I'm a winner for the recognition. Honestly, I think anybody that contributes to community is a winner already. Yeah, we're all making a difference in some way.
That is so. First of all, congratulations. That's very impressive. And
Thank you.
thanks for sharing your journey, but how, you Coffee with an Expat came about. I didn't know that you had worked with refugees in Switzerland. That must have been another,
Yeah.
amazing experience and must have been very fulfilling. Your journey to, Coffee with an Expat is similar to mine. I started the Expat Woman 10 years ago, and initially it was going to be a resource blog for people living in San Francisco, but then I started doing events. My first event, no one showed up. And again, just like you, I had these like questions like maybe, no one's interested in this. And I've had events where I've wanted to cancel because sometimes but you just learn. And I think for anyone listening to this who's running a business or anything that you're doing related to living abroad, I think it's just about being persistent and consistent and finding your purpose. I think if you're passionate about what you do, whether it's creating community like what Navine and I do, or anything else, when you're passionate and you're creating impact, you can, be focused and have that long-term vision. And I think things will work out. Like with me, my in-person events were completely came to a standstill during COVID. I don't know if the same thing happened to you. And for me in San Francisco, things are still very slow. A lot of people left San Francisco during and after COVID. So I used to host an event every week. Now I host an event once a month. So I've had to
Mm.
pivot to more online events. So did the same thing happen during COVID in Dubai and have things right like resumed? Is it back to like a thrive? And I can see based on your photographs, it is pretty thriving. So I think Dubai is
Yeah.
back, right? To the
Dubai is all happening all the time.
even during COVID,
Whenever there's an opportunity, it will be back on its feet. Sorry?
even during COVID, you guys weren't shut down, right? You went into lockdown.
No, so during COVID, no, we were in lockdown for about 8 weeks.
Oh, that's
So
it.
yeah, so you couldn't leave the house really. Yeah, it was not that long compared to a lot of countries, but again, this is what I'm saying, that Dubai is one of those cities where they have the ability to look, the leaders of this country have a very strong vision and they are working very hard to achieve it. And they have, so when it came to COVID, for example, I think we were very lucky in how they handled it, to get the city back on its feet as quickly as possible, to get people out of their homes as quickly as possible. They were very strict. I wouldn't say they were not. They were very strict, with the vaccinations. So they were very strict about, when we're in lockdown, that you can't go out. Only certain people are allowed out at a certain time, obviously for doctors and those crucial roles. They had a system in place where you have to at some time book the time that you wanted to go out and come back again. So it was very controlled during that period. But they did all of that. They did all of that for the safety or the protection of the people, right? So yeah, they had systems to show whether you were vaccinated or not. You could not go into certain buildings if you were not. All of the fun stuff. So it's very traumatic. But again, we were very lucky compared to a lot of other cities and countries in the world. So yeah, when we got back to in-person events, you could do it, but you had to be wearing masks. You had to have social distancing between the people. But that didn't stop anybody. I mean, we'll do the events and we'll do the social distancing. It's not a problem, but we were doing the events, you know. So you would still go to the restaurants, would have the barriers, like the glass between us, but people were just hungry to go back and have like human connection again. So this is why we're buzzing now. I mean, like, it's a very high-paced city anyway. I've never been to San Francisco, so I don't know, but Dubai is pretty full on.
Yeah, San Francisco, at least downtown was like Dubai. There was a lot of energy. It was buzzing. It's unfortunately I think we have a long way to go. But yeah, I love the energy in Dubai. There was like the airports, the streets. It's just like there's an excitement in the air. And I love the way women dress to it. Like wow, like it's like watching like a runway show because everyone's like so beautifully dressed. Even the hijabs are so like artistic or colorful, and then the women's makeup is like, oh my gosh, this is just an amazing place. So we are almost at the end. I had a couple more questions. You've been very successful on Instagram as well. Unfortunately, the Expat Woman Instagram account was taken down my Instagram. I have no idea why. So I couldn't look at your recent
They
post.
took it down.
Yeah, they just shut it down. And that's why one thing of people watching, don't rely totally on social media. All I was doing on Instagram was posting, about expat women and, nothing controversial, nothing religious. Instagram one day just decided, and I can't even reach a human, but your Instagram account, I think, reached 10K, and you said you started coffee with an expat before you moved to Dubai. So this was like, was it your personal account? And then what do you
Yeah,
think was, what do you think led to your success with Instagram and, getting it to 10K? Because I know it's not easy growing on social media.
it's not
It's a
easy.
lot of work, yeah.
Yeah.
So how many years ago did you start this Instagram, and what do you think led to you, growing to 10K? What are some of the things you did, etc.? Because I know a lot of expat women do create Instagram accounts like yours, right? Because they want to
Mm.
show their lives, and then sometimes they turn it into business like you.
Yeah. So I started Coffee with an Expat account. Now that's a good question to ask. When did I start? I would like to say that I started it in 2014. 2014, I think. So it's been a good 10 years. 10 years to get to 10K, right? So I know there are some accounts that can reach that 10K very quickly. But, you know, and it just shows you how long it can take, even with a very active community like mine, where I have a lot of people come to the events, that we do multiple events a week, etc., etc. We post a lot, we share a lot of stories and all that kind of stuff. Doing it very organically, it takes time and it takes a lot of patience. And I think, like you said, consistency is key, right? It's just sometimes you post, you get no engagement, but for me, I feel like be true to what you want to share, regardless of what you get in return, right? Because at the end of the day, why are you sharing it? Is it for the likes? Is it because you want to impact somebody's life or you want to share something, right? So I think this is where we have to kind of like be careful about what we consider as a successful Instagram account, because yeah, I could have 10K, but someone else could have 2K, but be much more successful, right? Because they're delivering, they got more engagement, they've got all these, like, you know what I mean? So it could be 2,000 very engaged followers, and I could have 10K that, oh yeah, just like they're there for, they whatever reason, right? But yes, it took a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and it just, again, I went through moments where I wouldn't post for weeks, and then I'll be posting. So I'm not somebody that's so consistent with it. I try to be as much as I can, because life is busy, and yeah, just being creative, just trying different reels, trying, just sharing what's happening, always looking, okay, what can I do to improve it? What do people want to, hear or see, or just doing that really. And I think it just takes time. It's just about time, and just keep sharing.
I agree with you that it's not about the vanity metrics, because you're right. Some people, especially on Instagram, I think there's so much focus on having this huge following and then barely any engagement. And I know people pay to get more. I don't know. I don't know much about Instagram. LinkedIn's my main platform, but you're right. And I also loved what you shared, Naveen, about focusing on adding value. How can someone benefit, even if one person reads or looks at my post and it has an impact and influences them, and maybe they don't even engage, because we have a lot of lurkers, at least on LinkedIn. We have what we call the LinkedIn lurkers. They might not comment on your post, and then you'll meet them at an event and they'll say like, oh, I love what you shared. It's like, really, I didn't even know you read it. And
Yeah.
do you create your own content and post it yourself, or do you have someone do it for you?
No, I do my own. Until now, I still do it. Yeah.
I love that. I think that
Yeah.
that's another thing. I think because you and me and many others who run like are solopreneurs, or maybe you have a small team, but we are the face of our business. And I think when you start hiring other people, maybe when you're really big and you don't have the bandwidth, but I think when it's community based, I think you are the face of the organization. So when you share content, you're really keeping your community in mind, and it just is more genuine and authentic. And I think in
Yeah.
this world of AI and bots, I think being authentic, being vulnerable, being yourself, being true to yourself, and your purpose and your passion is comes out in your social media. And I think that's why that could be a reason why you've been so successful too.
Yeah. I think also it's just it becomes like when I'm like, I know a lot of people think, oh, it's just an Instagram account, for example, it's just a social media account. But when you think about how much time and effort you put into creating an Instagram account, for example, over 10 years, all the work that's gone into that, all the hours that have actually gone into that, creating the posts, being creative about it, engaging with other people, putting up stories, creating sometimes a scenario to tell a story. Like there's so much that goes into it. Just like your LinkedIn, for example, you're very successful on LinkedIn, and that's been something that you've nurtured over the years, right? So it's very hard to give that to somebody to do the work for you, because
Right.
if
I agree.
you could lose that in a moment, because like maybe the messaging is not the same, or you know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's part of your business, really. It becomes a part of your business. So
Right. I'm hoping
yeah.
someone from Instagram is watching this, because I've been doing Expat Woman Instagram for almost 9 years or 8 years, and I've lost everything. So it's not as big as yours, but it was still, I was posting once in a
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
but it's still like 8 or 9 years of work all just gone, of photographs, of images. It's sad. So yeah, one more question. What would you say to women who want to move to Dubai? How can they prepare for their move to Dubai? Is there anything they need to keep in mind to make their move here easy? Or even women living in Dubai who feel that they haven't, discovered their purpose, they're struggling. Do you have any tips to share?
Okay, for people that are moving to Dubai, first is to do some research about the cost of living, okay, because it's not cheap to live here. It's not easy, and you need to have, and again, it depends on everybody's situation. You're coming on your own, you're coming with your spouse or your partner, or you're coming with kids. We see a lot of people asking, I'm going to come to Dubai and look for work. And we hope that you have enough money to sustain you for 6 months at least to a year, because it's not that easy, right? And it's expensive. Rent is expensive. Having a car is expensive. Schooling is expensive. Those are the big finances that you need to ensure are covered. And cost of living in general is quite expensive, to be honest, like from food, going out, and all this kind of stuff. It all adds up here. So even though it's considered like tax-free, you are still, everything else, if you're paying for everything, basically, from driving on a road to parking to everything. So that's definitely something I would say first and foremost, is do your research, see the cost of living. Can you afford to come and sustain yourself without a job for at least 6 months? And then if that's all good to go and you're planning to come here to open a business, like we know, opening a business, some people are lucky, but generally you're not going to be making a profit right away, right? So you'd need to have a job. So you can either come with like a remote job, and you need to be generating an income anyway until your business picks up. But in terms of it being difficult to start your own business here as a woman, no, it's not. Are women supported here? They definitely are. They are very big on empowering women here. So I know, again, like, media may tell a different story, but if you ask any woman that lives here in the UAE, there's no issues. You can walk around here dressed the way you want to dress. You can just be yourself, really. And it's very safe for solo women here as well. So it's one of the safest countries as for women to come and be on their own. That's my perspective anyway.
Those are no,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
are really valuable tips, and I like
yeah.
what you said about
Yeah,
about having
but
money. Right. So
sorry?
having money, I think that's very important, about having enough money for 6 months to a year, because I think a lot of
Yeah,
time you just want to move to another country and it just seems so like this is going to be the best year of my life, or the best, and then you haven't planned for your finances. So I think that's very
right.
important to keep in mind.
Yeah, this is it. And I think what people forget to, or sometimes they don't realize, or they forget until they like move to another country, whether it's here or somewhere else, but even especially here, there's no like what do you call it, superannuation system, for example, or those kind of like retirement plans that they have. You have to create your own retirement plan. You have to have investments, for example, to to do that. So it's not like when you're like living in the UK or the US or in Australia where they have systems in place to help you invest into your retirement. So they don't have that here. So this is something that people need to be aware of as well, is that when you're leaving your country and you're giving that up, then you have to understand that you need to plan for that and not just say, oh, I'll figure it out when I'm 50, because that's too late. You need to figure it out from like your 20s if you're choosing to leave that behind. But in terms of finding purpose, oh my gosh, that's such a big topic. But all I can say is never too late to find your purpose, no matter what age you are.
Sorry, my alarm went off because of my daughter's piano lesson, and I thought I lost the microphone. That's the thing of being an expat mom too, right? It's like
Yeah, absolutely. Multiple things happening at the same time.
I'm hoping that she does go for a piano lesson. Yeah, but those are very valuable about the retirement thing, because that's something, and I think this is not just for Dubai. I think everything that you shared is really helpful for anyone moving anywhere in the world, keeping these things in mind, like finances, retirement, the culture of the country, etc. So thank you for sharing that. So I just, based on, and I know we're out of time, but I just, based on the retirement thing, so even if you work for a company, the company does not have in the US have 401k plans and stuff. So even if you,
No.
okay, that's really good to know. Okay,
No,
thank
they
you.
don't have. It's not part of the system here. They don't have those. I think what do they call it in the UK? Is it the superannuation? Is that what they call it? I'm
I
not
don't know,
sure.
but
So
in
yeah, some like and I know in Australia, my gosh, I'm so
oh,
bad
don't
today. I
worry
can't
about
remember
it.
the
But I
names.
think, yeah,
But you know what I mean, right? They have these
yeah,
systems where
yeah.
you
You can
where
pay into
you
a retirement fund and
right,
like,
exactly. And then
like in the US,
so
we
no, they
don't,
don't have that here.
yeah, in the US, we don't work for a company. Like my husband and I are self-employed, but we have a retirement plan. So you can put money into that. So, but that's really good to know. I actually
Mm.
wanted to ask you about healthcare because you covered everything. Is that like, do you have to have a healthcare plan if you
Yes.
run your own business? Like in the
Oh,
US, you can't just walk into a doctor's office. It's really expensive. You have to have a healthcare, whether you have your own business or you work for a company. Usually you buy a healthcare plan. What is healthcare
yeah.
like in Dubai?
So yeah, private here. I mean, like, is private healthcare. You need to have private healthcare
But can you just
to have
walk
anything
into
covered.
if you can, like in
Well,
India? Okay.
you could, but you're paying out of pocket. So there's nothing to say you can't. It's not like you have to be insured to be able to see a doctor here. You can go into hospital if you need to, but you'll pay for it. So you definitely, but here they do require as a resident that you have private health insurance.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good to
so
know.
that's a requirement. So it's either going to be part of your package as an expat through your company if you're coming with a company, or you buy your own as an individual.
Awesome. Thank you, Naveen.
Yeah.
And you shared so much valuable information. Thanks for
No.
doing that. I know it's also way past your bedtime, or I know it's really late in
Oh,
Dubai. How can people connect with you? How can women learn more about, especially women in Dubai who are like feeling like they need community, feeling alone, isolated? Because I know you have this amazing,
thank you.
active, engaged community.
Thank you. Yeah, well, on LinkedIn, Navine Eldesouki, I'll be happy to connect with everyone on there. Off that, you can find me on Instagram, which is where I'm mostly active, Coffee with an Expat or Navine Eldesouki for my personal account or my personal public account. And then our website, we have coffeewithanexpat.com, and then obviously all the links are on there as well, and the membership and just learning more about us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Naveen, for
Thank you, Nyna.
joining me in this interview and talking about Dubai and sharing so much information. I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people
My
after
pleasure.
watching this will be like, okay, now I've got all the tips on how to move to
Oh, I
Dubai.
hope so. Don't come after me if I said something wrong.
Yeah, I know. Again, I'm interviewing you as a founder of Coffee with an Expat, not as a visa or financial expert, just from your
Yeah,
perspective. So
yeah,
because again, people have to do their research. We're not
of course.
promoting anything, but just I too learned a lot, you know. As I said, I've only visited Dubai as a tourist, but what you shared is also translates across any country that you want to move to or live in, you know. It's just so important to do that research beforehand. So it makes your
Absolutely.
transition so much easier. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you again. And
My pleasure.
yeah, I will see everyone next Tuesday.